we're live, recorded. It's been a while.
Sorry.
And sorry about that to you and to ourselves. Really, mostly.
Yeah.
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 But, we can make as many excuses as we want. Like, it's been hot out. Just, we're melting.
Not never working.
Yeah, right. But anyway, yeah, so we're here. And it's Wednesday, August 16th, 11:07 p.m. Pacific Northwest.
Pacific time. 11:07 p.m. Pacific time. We're vlogcasting
Live recorded!
live recorded. We're vlogcasting live recorded on YouTube channel republictoday.net. Republic Today. republictoday.net. Live recorded. Vlogcasting. Vlog. We're vlogcasting.
Vlogcasting. So I kind of just started out before I hit record, but I was just talking about, academic debt.
Yeah. Well, what we know is if we take off our anarchist hats, the capitalist Democrats continuously sell progressive ideas during elections and then don't do those things. So student
Right.
debt relief being
They're
the one we're talking about
catfishing.
right now. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
right.
politics, right? It's
Yeah.
as old as time. In the Bible, they're
And
like,
they
politicians were lying about shit.
well, this one specifically, the one with the major debt relief that was like minimum 10,000 per person, up to 20,000 if you met certain criteria. Like that one, like they can just be like, well, we tried to do it, but the courts blocked it or whatever, and I think it's just a load of bullshit. Like, how far could you have taken it? Were you planning to begin with? Like, yeah, we can propose this, but if we just, keep things a secret to, whatever, the human populace, then, they have the illusion that we did something.
I think
And that it was just blocked for, whatever process.
it's as old as politics. I mean, that's the lie that we've been hearing from Democrats during Obama and now Biden. Yes, we have the presidency. Yes, we have majorities sometimes in the legislative branch. I don't think in Obama or Biden did they ever have the Supreme Court. So there's three branches of government, folks, here in this republic in which we live: the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch. The executive branch has nominating power of the judicial branch, but the legislative branch can confirm or veto nominees. So they essentially vetoed the Democrat nominee during Obama, and then Trump got two in, so the Republican Party versus the Democrat Party, or the radical right, have a supermajority in the Supreme Court, which is one of the three branches.
Right.
Um, they basically don't even really have a majority in the Congress. They technically do. The Republicans do right now as we speak on this date. Today. Republic Today.
Republic Today.
But they have the majority by it's like 6 votes or something like that. I forget how many, out of 400, whatever it is. So they do have the majority in Congress, but that's only one. We have a bicameral legislative branch. 11:11, make a wish. So yeah, I'm gonna make a wish out loud since we're on the podcast, and it's 11:11 p.m. Pacific time today, Wednesday, August 16th. Well, I want to wish out loud about practicing doing this podcast, and um, that's kind of how we started. It's been a minute, and we were on a really good run, and let's get back on that. So,
Yeah.
can you put out some good intentions too?
Yeah. I mean, I want good intentions for me, for you, for our watchers and listeners to, you know, pick up that positive activity that you were doing that maybe you took a pause at. Pick it up. Pick it up, pick it up.
Um,
Anyway, yeah.
yeah. So, like, as far as we can tell, the Republican Party has one of the three branches of government at all times. The judicial branch. So the other ones can go back and forth, but we have a two-party system, and that party has one of them locked down.
Yeah, right.
And so right now
Who
it's like
reigns supreme is what they say.
it's the environment. So we have these nine right now. It's not in the Constitution that it has to be nine, but we have nine Supreme Court justices. We call them justices. They're the embodiment of justice.
Right.
It's like Justice Clarence
They're, like,
Thomas is being
appointed.
investigated for corruption. Uh, and he's a radical right wing Republican. He's also African American. And so it's like it's good that there's diversity that reflects the American people on the Supreme Court in terms of like ethnicity and things like that. But it's like it's been a couple years now of stories coming out of him being corrupt actually. There's one like his wife was getting involved with like political people, and there's just now they've got in this there's an investigation and there's like many vacations and parties and things like that like rich people were giving Justice Thomas. So maybe he's not the embodiment of justice. Maybe he gets in trouble. They're not above the law either, the Supreme Court, even though they are justice. Justice RBG.
Well, yeah, they still have to be upheld to the law, even though they like have this part in writing law.
Right, and they're not
essentially.
supposed to. That's what legislation is the writing of the laws. So the legislative branch is the one who's supposed to be doing that.
No. I guess that's the wrong term to use. So it's like when you have, like whatever. I'm sorry, I'm going to use all the wrong terminology. But when you have like a court determination based on a case, and that becomes the basis for other similar things, if that makes sense. So like that's how like Roe v.
precedent.
Wade, yes, great, thank you. But then it got overturned. So
It
like
sets a precedent to be like, okay, from now on, the rest of the conversations that have to do with this.
Yes.
This is the law. This is the law right now.
Yeah, that's how
It's agreed upon.
how they should be ruled.
Right.
Yeah, right. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like it's the law. Is that wrong terminology?
Well, again, let me put on my anarchist hat for a second.
Because it's just like
I think I'd rather have a law than have a person who decides. It's like a judge. I think that's what we have in I think that's what our republic is trying to do, is having like these justices choose the rule of law, choose what's written down, whatever the precedent is. That's why they have the precedent idea. So it's not up to their judgment every single time. It's up to this canon, this code.
Right. Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying is like with each case or whatever, you still have to present evidence. You still have to present how the law applies, and you have to present a case.
Right.
and fabricate a story or narrate or whatever language you want to use. But I think that that plays like a big part in how like whatever judicial systems function in general.
Yeah, that's I was thinking about my one kind of like go through of the judicial system besides car, driving stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I like whatever the record that's on the books is not true. It's just like straight fucking lies. Like
Mm.
malicious lies,
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like when it came time to decide like do I want to go to trial or do I want to plead guilty to misdemeanor disturbing the peace? I was like, fuck no, I don't want to deal with this anymore. So even though the facts that are on the record are not true, not facts, and
Yeah.
whatever, like I was like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna like not have to deal with this anymore and just be on probation or whatever.
Yeah. Right. And like it's
So the narrative is the broken part of my experience. Is the narrative that's on the record.
the
That's
narrative
what's
of
wrong.
who set the narrative. It wasn't you. You didn't have a voice in your narrative because of like this legal documentation.
Yeah, it's fucking, ACAB.
Um yeah, it's like a little hierarchy of whatever.
Well, I mean, literally, what was told to me, and this isn't, we're not talking about like our theoretical form of government, but just in the crude human sense that is universal, was happening in China 4,000 years ago, and in the Middle East 2,000 years ago, and whatever, and with indigenous people on this continent before the colonists got here, was that like the judge was like, yeah, I got to deal with these cops, so I'm just gonna like take their word for it if they're just presenting some story.
Mm-hmm.
They're not that judge isn't gonna like go to bat, to use a metaphor, for me. That judge isn't gonna like mess with their work routine for me. They're like they have to work with that sheriff next week too. So if the
Right.
cops can be like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I'm looking out for this person. I think maybe you guys are fucking being
Well,
lying and being corrupt."
I think sometimes in those cases where you are contesting the word of law enforcement, they have to be like served or whatever to be present in court. And there are a lot of times where they just don't show up. It's not worth their
And
time.
that is a traffic thing for sure. That is something for
That's
all y'all
traffic.
out
Uh
there.
huh.
Like, if you get pulled over, even,
Mhm.
and you have a court date, you can show up, and there's a chance the cop's not going to show up.
Yeah.
They're just going to be like, whatever, we don't care. Like,
Yeah.
we got the ticket, we got this person to show up. When it's other kind of stuff, I don't know how much of that works. I try to leave that to lawyers.
Right. It depends on the scenario and the severity and etc. etc. But yeah, I'm not sure.
So people who I trust implicitly that I feel like family like with gave me this lawyer's phone number, and it was like he gave me this great deal. It was like I still gave him like $1,000, but that was such a great deal, and then he didn't get me off of it. So I don't know. It wasn't good for me. It wasn't a good experience. But
Yeah.
anyway, um,
Thank you for
abortion is illegal
sharing
in a bunch of states right now today in
mm,
this republic
today. .net.
because of an activist, radical right wing Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court, activist radical right wing. I think the Democrats reap what they sow, but we're in one of the, I don't know, are we the furthest right? I mean, there's like authoritarian dictatorships, whatever, Hungary, Turkey, Russia, um, Central America, Africa. There's um, a fucking Italy has an open fascist right now.
Mm-hmm.
So European countries, So we're not as far to the right in our republic, just relative to these other countries. Um, but it's still a pretty like right wing country relative to itself and what the ideals are here, right? Equality, democracy. How about equality and democracy? That's when I see the American flag. That's what I want to think of. Uh,
Skull needs to. Sorry, we didn't do any introductions. I'm Jay. This is Skull.
Hi.
Skull is in the middle of a SimCity 4 game, and there are no jobs or something like that happening while we've been chatting. Um, anyhow, anyway.
Hui or way?
Hui. No hui.
It's so. What is it called,
We're
listeners?
vegan. No hui.
Listeners, please chime in. What is it called when there's a letter that you pronounce but it's not in the word?
Oh, yeah. And I follow a TikToker actually who addresses a lot of this stuff. Because there's stuff about like soft teas or whatever. Like what's the difference
Toronto.
between
Toronto, Canada.
right, or Toronto. Potato.
Potato. Toronto.
Which that one has
Baltimore,
two.
Maryland. Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna trail it on back.
Trailing on back. Are we gonna have to watch SNL reruns?
I've thought about that. I'm
I like that
how do we
show.
watch it without?
I like that show.
Because I haven't seen any of them. Let's be honest. Yeah.
Because I was thinking of the Justin Timberlake. There's a recurring Justin, because he's hosted many times
Right.
relative to most people, most hosts, and he has one, and I forget like the name of the business, but he was like a sign flipper guy. He had like a costume or something, and they've done this sketch a few times with him. Sometimes there's like a boombox or whatever, and so it's like, "Come on down to this store," is like the catchphrase. But so like he'll do like dance moves, like sing and stuff, and then it always comes back to like, come in, I don't know. This
Okay,
is the
we'll
worst
have to watch
podcast
it.
material we've done.
We'll have to watch it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
anyway, I was bringing it on back to academic loans, student loans.
Yeah. So they can blame it on the Supreme Court. Look, it's the Supreme Court. You got to elect another Democrat president. So next time we have a Supreme Court nominee, we can get student debt relief. Sorry.
Yeah, let's bring it back. You got anything else?
I think so one version of debt relief that the Roman Catholic Church something a journey Jay and I went through together is that I helped them realize that they were raised Catholic. But the term jubilee is a term that comes out of the church, but that's for when there was a big debt relief. So people had banks and debts and stuff back in ancient times, and they would have a jubilee, which meant like, oh, you don't owe this stuff anymore.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
That's the term jubilee comes from
sounds
debt
great.
relief. Yeah, and they'd have big parties and stuff when the church is more involved in like government stuff.
Interesting.
Like the Holy Roman Empire, that kind of stuff.
Right, yeah, because I was baptized in a Roman Catholic church.
Right, so you should know about debt relief and jubilees.
Supposedly. Haven't gone through confirmation. That's all I know about, to be honest.
So you had a communion. Did you have your
I
first
haven't
communion?
had a first communion.
You never had a first communion?
I
Okay.
don't think so.
Well, that's not something I'm going to pursue with you. I don't think.
Wait, what?
Jay is satanic for you listeners, and I'm into that. Like that's something that we connected about like super early on. Like our first date. um, so there's that. But yeah, the only other thing I have is a little bit of reality TV drama gossip. Because this is a long episode and it's so good, right? Except for a few moments where I was bad. Um, like a couple years ago, when James Harden went to the Philadelphia 76ers, he was kind of like, yeah, wink. I'm taking less money to like help the team, wink, and like I'm sacrificing, uh, and the general manager, general general manager Daryl Morey was like they worked together in Houston for the Houston Rockets, and now they were got themselves back together in Philadelphia. And like last week, or earlier this week, James Harden came out and said like Daryl Morey's a liar because, and he didn't get into specifics, but it seems as though this Morey and the Sixers had said, "Hey James, take less money now. Don't sign the extension because they have these contract negotiations. Don't sign the contract extension. Let it expire, and then we'll give you more money." And then they're like, "Oh, we changed our minds about that. Sorry, James."
Right.
And so James Harden has to figure out what he wants to do in terms of his next contract.
Yeah.
But it seems as though
He has
his
free
employer. If he's a free agent,
Yeah.
but his employer was like, haha, I lied to you. Right. So anyway, that's just, and James Harden is it's frustrating for sports fans because he's always involved in this kind of gossip stuff. He himself is a good percentage of what makes professional basketball seem like professional wrestling. In terms of being kind of fake and being about the drama, as opposed to some kind of statistical result in the game. It's less about the game. James Harden loves clubs. He likes clubs. He likes strip clubs. He likes partying. And so he's not as psychotically dedicated to hard work, working out, clean living, competitiveness, winning. And so he's got this great body and great talent, and obviously enough work ethic to be a great NBA player. Mm-hmm. It's not like he's some lazy guy. It's not like he's some stupid. I don't know how smart pro athletes have to be, but he's gotten to be a super multi-millionaire playing a game, and he's great. He's great at it, but he likes the lifestyle. He likes the celebrity lifestyle and partying and stuff, compared to some of these all-time great players that are just like, I'm into sit-ups and crunches, and like ab machines. What are your hobbies? And jumping all the time, just constantly jumping. Arms in the air. I mean, basketball is very athletic. They don't have quite the long distance cardio as soccer players, but they're pretty much the most athletic of all the pro athletes, of all the games, all the sport ball games, sport ball puck games. What are there other ones? I mean, MMA or boxing. I don't know, how athletic are horse jockeys? Let's not have horse racing anymore, y'all. It's cruel to animals. Got anything else? Fucking horse racing. Fuck that.
Fuck it. Don't go. Don't bet on it. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Alright. Wrap it up?
Bust a rhyme.
Alright. Thanks for listening.